All right, this is Court TV Morning Series 110. I'm Vinny Politan. Thanks for joining us, folks. Coming up this hour, Don Reggi's going to join us. He's a musician and parody songwriter about the JonBenet Ramsey case. He's got some great new material to work with now. Also, Lisa Bloom, my partner from Bloom and Politan Open Court, is going to join.
Dumb, 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 really dumb. Way, 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 way out. Whoa, 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 whoa is us. Only in Boulder. Only in Boulder. Only in Boulder. Dumb, dumb, really dumb. The liberal dream has gone astray. Way, 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 way out. Only in Boulder. Dumb, dumb, really dumb. A paradise that slipped away. Dumb, dumb, dumb.
There it is, only in Boulder. Only in Boulder. That's where I just got back from Boulder, Colorado. And that, again, is one of the parody songs put together by Don Reggi, who's going to join us in just a moment about the city of Boulder. And we're going to talk to him about a bunch of the songs that he's produced and the new material that he has from the JonBenet Ramsey case. CTTV is our number. And joining us right now, special guest, Don Reggi. He's a Boulder musician and parody songwriter. Good morning, Don.
Good morning from Boulder. How are you?
Good. So I just got back from Boulder, was there for the first time. And
well, I'm sorry I didn't meet you.
Yeah.
It's a nice little town, isn't it?
It really is.
And it's tiny.
It's tiny, but it's clean. The air is great. Everybody's in great shape.
About 25 square miles, sometimes referred to as surrounded by reality, and there's about 110,000 permanent residents, and then there's a university here, so it swells up every once in a while with youngsters. But I moved to Boulder in late '94, and in January of '97 was to start a contract position down the south of down Denver, which was 58 miles away. So that put me in my car for 3 hours a day during drive time radio. And just to save my sanity, I was twiddling through the dials trying to find some talk radio, and discovered a fellow here in Morning Drive named Peter Boyles. He had focused on this case. The murder happened
December '96.
Right, and so January of '97, when I started this gig, I'm on the road, trapped in my car, and listening to Professor Boyles, as it were, every single morning, running down the new developments. And you have to think back 10 years, which is tough for folks. It seemed month by month this case got odder.
Oh, yeah.
Very strange. The behavior of the parents was completely bizarre and unlike any victim family that had ever gone before them. And he was going into great detail. So coming out of a commercial break, they were playing some bumper music, Warren Zevon's Werewolf of Boulder, Werewolf of London. And he started singing Werewolf of Boulder along with it and chuckled and he says, wow, that works. Somebody ought to do this. Now, I've been a musician all my life, and I'm 52 years old, and I can kind of sing like Warren Zevon, and I have the piano in the basement and everything. I said, well, I'll put that together this weekend. I have nothing else to do. So I did it on my old 4-track reel-to-reel and sent it in, and it sat on his desk for a couple of weeks, and I called his attention to it over the phone, and he played it, and the listeners went wild.
They did. Well, let's take a listen to it. Got a good beat.
I saw a werewolf with an Italian menu in his hand, walking down Boulder's Pearl Street Mall. He was looking for a place called Pasta J's, gonna get himself some spaghetti and meatballs. Ah, ooh, werewolf of Boulder. Ah, ooh.
Now, let me talk about that.
Yeah. Tell me, who are you singing about, the meatballs?
Pasta J's is a restaurant that you might have eaten at, and
I went to the Boulder Chop House.
oh, well, good for you. That's a nice place.
Yeah.
But Pasta Jay Alowski is a business partner of John Ramsey.
Oh.
He, in his troubled past, has been in trouble with the law because of some domestic violence involving a baseball bat. For some of the early moments of the case, he was a suspect only in the press's eyes, but not in the family's eyes, his family friend, and ended up chasing a reporter away with a gun at one point. Yeah. So Pasta Jay and Ramsey are kind of intertwined, and they own some property together in that restaurant. So So that's why he was mentioned. And what I tried to do in these songs as I wrote them was just simply to refer back to Peter Boyle's points that he had made earlier in the week, and also pull things out of the headlines. So it was almost like a historical record of the case, which is bizarre enough.
We're speaking with Don Reggie. He's a musician, parody songwriter who wrote a whole series of songs about the JonBenet Ramsey case, and joins us now here on Court TV Morning. Now, recently now with this John Mark Carr stuff, you've obviously had an opportunity to get much more material. And did you think that you'd ever get more material in this case?
Well, here's the thing. You know, I ended up at 12 over the course of 2 years, an entire album. And I thought that was it. And when this thing bubbled back up, I said, oh, gosh, here comes the second album, or Act Two, as it were. And anybody who's truly familiar with the case, as soon as they heard his bizarre, the details of his bizarre confession, knew, and he knew himself, that it was factually inaccurate. He drugged the little girl. He picked her up from school. He sat on the front porch and fed her pineapple. All this stuff is completely bizarre. And right off, I wrote him off as a kook and started figuring out how to get songs out of his name, which wasn't hard. I mean, baby, it ain't John Mark Carr. You know, you can do all sorts of stuff with it. But what became more interesting than this nutcase himself was how in the hell he got Boulder officials to take him seriously. And this all points back to Michael Tracy. This is really important, and one point I want to make to your listeners this morning.
Well, Michael Tracy, let's set the stage. Michael Tracy is the journalism professor who is getting these emails from John Mark Carr, the taped phone conversations that you've heard over the last couple days. Those are between John Mark Carr and Michael Tracy. Michael Tracy's also produced a series of documentaries on these. A lot of people attack those documentaries as not being that accurate or being sort of skewed one way. And he's one of the guys who's really been a supporter that this did not take place. The Ramseys are not responsible, and it was an intruder, right?
He's a longtime family apologist, and he acts as if he's on the payroll. And if he isn't, I'd be surprised. He has the last one that he did, Who Killed the Pageant Queen, which was run on BBC for a brief period. It fingers a fellow named John Stephen Gigax, who happens to be a guest on Boyle's program this morning. You should try to get him. John Stephen Gigax. He was fingered by Michael Tracy as the guy. And the poor fellow simply sells jewelry on the Internet and is completely innocent. And he called the Boulder police saying, hey, am I a suspect? And the Boulder police says no. Meanwhile, Michael Tracy's telling the world that this guy killed JonBenet.
So is he suing him?
Pardon?
Is he going to sue him?
I hope so. I don't know. I'm missing the interview now to talk to you.
Oh, okay.
I'm missing out on my lesson this morning. But Michael Tracy is not a fan of the truth. He's a fan of self-promotion. He's a CU professor, yes, but he was also a Rocky Mountain News columnist until they let him go. Dig this. Is it a coincidence that suddenly he hands John Mark Carr over to the Boulder authorities 2 months in advance of a book deal that he's trying to close with a publisher for his new book about the case? This smells so bad, and Tracy is a master. His whole course is about how the media is manipulated, and how better to demonstrate that than to manipulate the media and stand back and watch.
Yeah, but doesn't his English accent give him a little more credibility?
I've always felt that if somebody's going to try to sell me a car and they talk like this, I'm going to give them money. But I think we should listen to the Michael Row Your Load Some More song, because it makes some important points.
Well, we're going to listen to it, but I'm going to save that one because
we're going to finish up with that.
We're going to finish up because Lisa Bloom, my partner from Bloom and Politan Open Court, is going to join us in our next segment, and I want her to hear this one because it really is the most recent and is the one that I want her to comment on as well. So
great. If Mark can dial up number 8, the letter, the ransom letter.
That's the one we're going to do, the ransom letter.
The ransom letter is good to hear, because what has happened with now that there is some attention on the case, and now that John Mark Carr is discredited, I hope that people will take a look at the alternate theory, which actually has more evidence, is that it could possibly be an inside job, and the letter starts us off on that.
Okay, and Don Reggie is going to stay with us. He's a Boulder musician, parody songwriter, also now a historian of the JonBenet Ramsey case.
An accidental historian. I didn't mean to do that.
Didn't mean to do it. And right now we're going to listen to the song all about the ransom letter.